Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now it is time to introduce our main speaker for tonight, Deezer D.
I'm an alcoholic. I'm Deezer D. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank God for my sobriety. And it's a privilege and honor to be speaking at an AA meeting. And it's hot as hell up here, too, right now. It's real hot. I was tripping out on that. When we was back there giving Anderson a cake, and you was the last one to get a cake. And you got 3 brothers giving you a cake. And we back there sweating like slaves. And I'm thinking like, that ain't a good look, you know what I mean? From all the white people going, man, they were African American at first, now they're Negroes. That's funny. But welcome to everybody. Welcome to all the new people in Alcoholics Anonymous, and happy birthday to all the birthday people. And thank you, Patty, for asking me to participate in my sobriety, because it's always a privilege and honor to speak at an AA meeting. And I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be sober. I'm one of those people, I love being sober. I love sobriety. I like what it's done in my life. Anderson, man, you just blew me away. You know, Anderson's the guy who led me to AA. And he was the guy that I had some of my last drinks with, and I never knew about alcohol. A lot of people heard my story. Anderson's the guy. You know, you guys finally see him live in person, and there he is. And if it wasn't for that man, I wouldn't be here today. You know, I thank God for him. And I was a true alcoholic, and he saw me in my disease full blown and never judged me once the whole time. And that's what I learned from you. You never judged me. And we was hanging out, and I was getting us kicked out of clubs, and God, and you was just still cool with me, man. You was just still hang out with me. I think I was just for your amusement. I don't know what it was, but you just, yeah, you've been a big blessing in my life, man, and I definitely appreciate you. And, you know, my sobriety date is October 20th, 1992, and you know, if you're new in here and you're a newcomer and you're one of those people that relapse, I'm a relapser. Because Anderson could tell you it started off probably about 90, I was trying to get sober, or 89, 90, somewhere in there. And I was the guy that went in and out of the program for a long, long time. You know, I was that guy that when I would walk in meetings, you know, people would just go, you see that guy right there? He can't stay sober. I was that guy. You know, like you do some of the people here tonight, you know? I was that guy for a long, long time, you know? I used to come into meetings really late because you guys already did the newcomer chips. You guys would go, you know, are there any new people in the first 30 days of sobriety? So I would wait till that's over with. Then I would come to the meetings because I had so many AA chips, and you guys already knew I was the relapser. But if I was here and they do that and they go, are there any AA members in their first 30 days of sobriety? Everybody would just go like this, you know, and I was that guy for a long time. Hey man, what's going on over there, man? It's like the Rodeo meet, man. Y'all can't. I'm messing with you, man. It's all love. Wow. I come from a family of alcoholics. I And my family, and my father was the immediate alcoholic in my family, and I grew up in South Central LA, and I moved to a city called La Puente. So if you know anything about the two cities, I basically moved from the ghetto to the hood, and it wasn't really much of a change. And my father drank every day. My father was the guy who would tell us to go get a beer out the beer out the fridge, and we go get a beer out the fridge, and we go get a beer. Me and my sister would take a sip of the beer, and we give it to my father. And he goes, "Hey boy, go get me a beer." And we go get him a beer, and we take a sip and give it to my father. And one day, my father said, "Where's my beer?" My sister did the same thing, but she didn't end up in Alcoholics Anonymous. I did, my mother never drank. I got two brothers and a sister, and I'm the only one that, was drinking and using. I come from a family that fight and argue, and what they do is everybody get together and they fight and they argue, and they would drink in the whole night, and they want to kill each other, and then after they want to kill each other, they make up and do the same thing over and over every week. And hey, Gabe, could you give me like a napkin or something, man? Because I'm really sweating chocolate up here, brother. Thank you. You guys probably seen, thank you so much, Tatum. You guys probably see my family a lot of on television, and I don't know if you guys ever watch Jerry Springer or Cops, but you might see my uncle running down the alley with no shirt on or something like that. For real. For real. I was thinking about that about my family because they're so crazy. I was like, we can make some money, you know what I mean? Put the cameras up in here and you guys be thinking it's scripted. I'm serious. But my family's that kind of family. Everybody was crazy. My dad's side of the family, everybody had jobs. They did their thing. Everybody had jobs. My mom's side of the family, what you gonna do with that? Thanks, Gabriel. My mom's side of the family, they didn't have jobs. We didn't know what they did for a living, and everybody, they drank and they used. And I had those, those uncles that, nobody know what they did for a living. You know what I mean? And nobody really asked. If you asked, my mother would make up something about what they do, but they didn't really do a damn thing at all. And my father's side of the family was supposed to have some sort of, education and do their thing. But anyway, to make a long story short, I was the one that ended up in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was the one that ended up here. And so I'm here to say, if you're new in here today, man, this is the best thing that could ever happen to you. This could be the best day of your life. My life has got better because of Alcoholics Anonymous. And if it wasn't for Alcoholics Anonymous, I truly would not be up here standing to you, talking to you today. You'd be talking to a different guy today. And I feel blessed and honored by that. And but I come from a pretty good family, although they were crazy. I went to school just like any other person. And in my neighborhood, everybody got high in my neighborhood. Everybody drank, they used. I come from a neighborhood where everybody was on my street. This was back in the early 80s. Everybody was selling weed, and they was just doing all kind of stuff on my street, and you could just get in the mix. It wasn't like a big thing then, and everybody drank, and I was always into something positive, but I was into sports. And when I went to school, I was focused on sports, and you should just bring me a bath towel, dog. Seriously. Like there's gonna be a line bringing me some toilet paper. When I went to school, that's when I started really finding out about drugs and alcohol. When I went to high school, that's when I really got into my disease. But how I knew I was you never know you from a dysfunctional family until you go back and visit. You know what I mean? When you go back and visit and found out you was like the worst person in the family, you know what I mean? And because the reason why I know it was so dysfunctional, because when I went to junior high school, we had our elementary, actually, we had show and tell, and on show and tell, I brought a weed roller to show and tell, and when they suspended me, I looked at them like, what's wrong? You know what I mean? And I got suspended. I couldn't even understand that though. To today, I'm still tripping off of that. And So I got suspended for that. And so when I went to high school, I was all into sports. I was serious about sports, and I was going to school one day, and one of the guys, they were drinking, they was getting high. One of the guys asked me, did I want to drink? And it was a can of Old English 800 malt liquor. And yeah, you remember that, huh? It was a can of Old English 800 malt liquor, and it was no peer pressure. He said, you want to drink? And I said, yeah, and I took a little drink, and I didn't like the taste of it, but I liked the way it felt. I got a little buzz and got a little confidence. So every Friday, I went looking for those guys when I went to school. And I only went on Fridays because that was like my party day, and I felt bold, I felt confident. I like it talks about the effect produced by alcohol. I like that effect that it was giving me. And it was working real good. And I did that for a while, and like I said, I was really into sports, and I remember I was on the basketball team, and I had a football coach. A football coach used to always tell us, some of you guys don't get serious about your lives. You're going to be out there drinking on the streets. You're going to be gangbanging. You're going to be doing all these kind of things. And I used to think, like, nah, not me. I'm probably going to be playing professional football, baseball, basketball, something. I'll never be on the streets. He said, some of you guys are going to be drinking out there, and you're going to be a bum like Frito. And Frito was like this bum in my neighborhood that asked for quarters and change all the time, And I used to think, like, I'll never be like Frito. And, and I was real focused because I didn't want to be like Frito. And I remember going. I was at basketball practice, and it was like my senior year, and I had an ego back then and was out of control, and I was pretty good. And we was doing suicides. I remember I was cheating. And then my coach said, hey, I want to talk to you for a minute. He came up to me, and he grabbed a clipboard, and he put it up in my throat, and he started yelling at me and everything, and I tried to swing on him, and I missed, and I hit the clipboard, papers went flying everywhere, and he kicked me off the team. And when he kicked me off the team, it kind of blew my mind, and I knew I was going to be okay and get back on the team, because I'm thinking, like, yeah, they need me, I'm going to be back. And they didn't need me, and I went back one day and tried to apologize to get back on the team. And I remember when I went back to try to apologize, I remember he was shaking his head, and he was just saying no. He just kept saying no. And that was the day that I turned into a professional alcoholic. And that day I left the school, and I went to the liquor store, and I got a bottle of Boone's Farm, and I started drinking it with my man Frito. And me and Frito was drinking a bottle of Boone's Farm hand in hand. And one of the most demoralizing things that happened, was my mom drove by that day, and she saw me sitting there with Frito, and I remember my mother just shaking her head. That mother shake. I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather for my mother to whoop me than to give me that look. Like, beat me, don't give me the look. And that's where it kind of started off for me. That's when my alcoholism started. And I was in the neighborhood drinking every day. Once I graduated from high school, I started drinking, and I was using, and I was in the neighborhood, and but I always had something kind of positive going on. I remember I was a DJ, and then I had this rap group. I had aspirations to be an actor, and I was doing all these several different things. And then one day, somebody came up with an idea. We ought to, have a rap group. Let's have a rap group. Like, yeah, let's rap. I can rap. And nobody can really rap. What we did at rehearsals, we drank beer, smoked weed, listened to everybody else's music, and said they suck. That's what we did for rehearsal. And couldn't nobody understand why we didn't have no record deal, you know what I mean? And we kept doing that for a long time too, And I'm not even joking. Some cats are still sitting in the garage right now, talking about they're gonna come up, you know what I mean? And that's what we did. And one day I finally got out of the garage, and I started coming out to Hollywood, and I got on the bus, and I started doing some extra work. When I got on the bus, I needed something to drink when I got on the bus. I used to have this my high school gym bag, and I would get on the bus, and I'm getting ready to go do extra work somewhere, and I got it. Back then it wasn't 40s. I had a quart. It was still a quart then, and I had a quart of OE, and I would come on different shows, and TV shows, and be an extra, and they would kick me off the show, and I would go back home and lie to all my friends like I was a big time actor. I'd go, yeah, I just had this big part today, and and I used to always say that all the time. I used to just go home and lie all the time. And then one day somebody checked me one day. This dude go, hey man, I ain't never seen you in nothing. And I was like, I didn't even know what to say to that, you know what I mean? Because back then I needed a pause button for you to see me, you know what I mean? And I'm sorry if y'all somebody doing that right now, you know. Because I used to lie too a lot, and I was lying all the time. But I would go out there and I would drink on other shows and stuff like that. And I just recently started, you know, telling this part of my story because I just remembered it, you know. But it was one time when I was on a show. It was a popular show at the time, and this was in the 80s. And I was drinking, I was using. It was like, shh, don't talk, pantomime, don't talk in the background. And they go, cut, who's that talking? Who's that talking back there? And then, you know, everybody shut up and, you know, don't say anything. And then they did it again, shh, cut, who's that talking back there? And then one day I was drunk and I just said, hey man, don't get pissed off because you don't know your lines. And it's like, okay, that guy, you gotta go. And I was banned from the lot, you know what I'm saying? They have your picture up there just in case you try to come through. I was banned from the lot, didn't even make it yet, it was banned. And my drinking was just crazy, man. That was just some stupid things that I would do when I get drunk. And then, you know, I would take the bus home and, you know, I didn't have money, so people would just give me money because I was like a clean bum. I was young. And people give me a couple of quarters here and there. And back then, the quart was like $1.25. You could really come up back in the day. And I would just ride home on that, you know, and do my thing. But, you know, I finally started making it, you know, and I moved out of my parents' house for good after the 6th time. And I moved on right there. I was just showing the guys that drove up here with me. I moved right there on La Brea and Hollywood, in that area. What's that street? Formosa. And I was living right there on the corner in a studio apartment. And that's where my drinking career started getting really good. And all those times when I was drinking, I would go out all the time. Like, I don't know about you, but when I went out, I got high before I went out. Like, you know, I go to the store, get a drink, smoke some weed, look in the mirror, the music's going, get in the car, drink some more, call Anderson up. He pulled up in his old VW, what was it? A van. He had a VW van. Anderson, a black man with a VW van. I ain't never seen no brothers with a VW van. So I met Anderson. He had a VW van. You thought I forgot about that. And he was big pimping in it too. And so Anderson would pick me up and we'd go somewhere, and Anderson would let me drink 40s all the time. He used to pull up, man. I think he was drinking vicariously through me. He used to pull up and go, hey, you getting a 40? Be like, yeah, man, yeah. So we would go to clubs, and Anderson, come on, D, let's go in, man. Let's go in. Let's go have a good time. I'd be like, oh, go on in, man. I'm good right here for a while. And I would drink and drink and drink. And by the time I go in, it'd be like, last call for alcohol. Last call for alcohol. And that's when I would go in clubs, and I was getting kicked out of clubs, and, you know, it was a lot of blackouts. Anderson told me most of these stories about me getting kicked out of the clubs, and, you know, I got kicked out of every club in Hollywood, basically, back in the day. And, you know, it was just bad, man. And how I ended up here, with, you know, just to make a long story short, how I ended up here was one day I was at home, and I got ticked off at a couple of friends over a girl or something like that, and I went back to my little studio apartment with my little futon and my TV, because at that time I thought I really made it. I thought I really blew up at the time, you know what I mean? Because all of a sudden I had a commercial, and, you know, I was working guest spots, so I was like huge in my mind. I was huge. And I had a little 280ZX used car and pulled all up. I mean, you couldn't tell me I wasn't balling. And I thought I had it going on. And a commercial came on, and this commercial pretty much sort of saved my life. And, you know, the first time I had heard about AA was through Anderson, man, because one day I asked him, I said, hey, man, how come you don't drink or use? And who was that? And they were putting on the theme music for that. And I asked Anderson, how come he didn't drink or use? And he pretty much gave me a little AA pitch. He says, man, you know, I used to smoke crack, blah, 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 this and that. And, you know, I don't do it anymore, man. It's been 7 years. I thought, oh, wow, man, well, good for you. And I just kept on drinking. Good for you, man. You got a problem, take care of that. Take care of that. I thought it was real deep at the time. I was like, oh man, let's dig. Poor dude. That's why he's driving that van. And that was the first time I heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was at home one day and I got mad at some friends, and I was drunk, and one of those commercials came on TV and it said, "Are you lonely?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm lonely." Are you depressed? Yeah, I'm depressed. And it said, call us at Charter Hospital. We can help you. Okay, I'll call you guys. I got good insurance. And so I called Charter Hospital. I was one of the dudes who really called. And I really called the number. And I called the number, and they was like, like good any alcoholic, they check the insurance. And they go, well, you want to come on down tonight? And you know what I said? No, I'll come down there tomorrow. And I had this little remedy that when I drank a lot, I would pop Excedrin PMs, because I wouldn't have a bad hangover the next day. You could wake up a little groggy, but you could work through that. And so I went to sleep, and it was a knock at my door the next morning, and I woke up, and it was my cousin. And she said, let's go. I was like, where are we going? She says, we're going to the rehab. I was like, oh, that was last night. I was tripping last night. My bad. My bad. You can go home now, my bad. You can go home. And, because I used to do, I don't know about you guys, I used to do some crazy stuff at night when I used to drink, you know what I'm saying? I was the dude that used to get my yearbook and call people. I used to get the yearbook. I'm high now. Yeah, you don't remember me though? Yeah, I was always feeling you back in the day, yeah. I told somebody, man, if they had Facebook back then, I wouldn't have never been here. You know what I mean? Wouldn't have never been here. Nobody was on a computer then, you know what I mean? And I was that guy, drunk dialing people, just doing it all the time too. Just calling girls like you ain't seen them in 10, 20 years. You know what I mean? You call them like they still gonna look the same, right? I guess none of y'all been to a 20-year reunion or a 10-year reunion. I have. Keep coming back. And I just tell you the end of the story. The fine girl ain't fine no more. Okay. Or the dude, the football dude. So anyway, man, she takes me to the rehab, and I go to rehab, and I pack a bag. And most people, when they go to rehabs, they pack, a nice little tote bag. I pack luggage, and I packed like a bunch of sneakers, bunch of suits, some outfits, because I don't know if you saw the commercial back in the day, when they used to show the commercial for Charter Oak, they show like a swimming pool, gymnasium, green meadows, and I figured, there's gonna be some stuff going on over there, so you better be prepared. So I took all that stuff over there with me, man, and also I had just finished a movie that was so horrible, it went to video during intermission, and it was bad. But you couldn't tell me that at the time. I thought I'd blown up at the time. And so I took my headshots with me just in case somebody wanted an autograph. I really did. Yeah, I really did. That's the part where I'm turning red. I'm serious. And so I took my headshots, and they was doing an intake. They was checking me out and looking at me like, who's this guy, And they was trying to tell me to come to meetings. They was like, hey, D, why don't you come to a meeting? We're doing a big book workshop tonight. You want to come join us? I'd be like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm only going to be here 31 days. I just did a movie. And I just did a movie, so I'm not going to really be here all that long. Okay, D, you okay? You just stay there. And they say, hey, D, we're having a 12-step workshop tonight. You want to come join us? I was like, nah, I just did a movie, right? And I'm not really like everybody else here. You know, I'm just going to get out and, you know, just focus when I get out of here. See, my thinking was if I stayed in the rehab for 31 days, I was going to be good. You know, I didn't have a God in my life. I didn't have a sponsor. And I left that rehab after 31 days. And I remember when I left, I remember calling Anderson at the time. I was like, yeah, man, they tripping, man. That was a little bit before 31 days, though, because I went back. And I go, yeah, they tripping over there trying to make me do stuff and, you know, like do some steps. I did it, you know what I mean? I did the steps on my own, because I was the guy that, I did the steps different than you guys the first time. Like, you know how you go on the meeting and you see the steps on the wall like this? I would go, yeah, okay, I just did 1, 2, yeah, 3, yeah, 4, yeah, I'll take a more inventory, okay. Yeah, then, you know, I'll talk to somebody after the meeting about my 5th step, and hey, man, you ever do your steps? Yeah, man, I did them at the last meeting, did them on the wall. Boom, right here, right here. I'm an actor, I can remember stuff. So now it's right here in my heart, you know? And that's why I relapsed for a long time. I didn't have no sponsorship and I didn't do anything. And I was full flight from reality. I was in my disease. And, you know, the thing for me, what I had to do to get sober is I had to give it all up. And for me, what I did to get sober is, you know, after relapse and, you know, my last day, I never forget my last day of drinking and using. And I went all out for Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, I sold out completely. And you know, I remember Anderson took me to one meeting. He said, oh, you don't love this meeting, man. It's the Rodeo meeting. And it was on Rodeo still, you know, like if this was still the old Rodeo meeting, all y'all be underdressed right now. And it was crazy. I walked in, I go, oh my God, this is insane. You know, it was just a beautiful thing. And I never went back once. And I went all out for Alcoholics Anonymous after relapsing so many times. And I remember calling my agent at the time and said, I'm done for about a year. I gotta get serious. I gotta get sober. And I got serious with my program, and I went to a meeting every day for 365 days. I got a sponsor. You know, I forgot to tell you guys, you know, when I first was getting sober, I had met this girl, and I moved out to this city called Yucca Valley. And I don't know if y'all ever been to Yucca Valley, but it ain't no black people in Yucca Valley, and they ain't never seen any black people in Yucca Valley. And if they see you, they think you're in the Marines. Oh, you must be in the Marines, huh? You're in the Marines? You must be in the Marines. And I went there, and yeah, for real. And I went to a meeting there, and it was like 5 people in the meeting. It's like, you come to this meeting, you see some pretty people, you know what I'm saying? You might see your favorite guy or whatever, but not the meetings in Yucca Valley. It was not like that. There wasn't nothing sexy about it. It was like 5 people, and if you got them together, you got a full set of teeth. And it was just bad. And I remember it was a guy going, if you want what we have, keep coming back. I thought, wow. And after relapsing for so many times, man, I finally just said, you know what, man, I got to get serious. And I went to that You Want What We Have guy. I went to him, and he gave me directions on what to do. And I went to a meeting every single day for 365 days, you know. I went to a meeting for 365 days every single day, man. I went to like 3 and 4 meetings a day. Even during the holidays, I was going to meetings. And I got a sponsor, and my sponsor took me through the work of Alcoholics Anonymous, took me through the book. And he says, I'm gonna show you your condition. Once I show you your condition, you're gonna have to show somebody else how this thing works in order for you to stay sober. He says, it's all about constant thoughts of others. And he kept brainwashing me with that, constant thoughts of others, constant thoughts of others. And so I started working these steps and started working with new people right away. You know, I didn't go anywhere but to meetings. You know, I knew everything about AA and a meeting because I went to so many dang meetings, man. And, you know, and I ended up staying sober, you know, and after I got sober, I ended up working again. And I was blessed enough to work on a job for like 15 years. And then that ended probably about 3 years ago. And, you know, and having worked since, and then went through a divorce and had a heart surgery where I almost died, didn't even know that was gonna happen. I mean, I had so many things going on in the last 4 years, man. I was like, man, this is not the way it was planned, and I ended up staying sober. I ended up staying sober because I had God in my life, you know. That was the most important thing for me. You know, God was the the biggest thing in my life when I got sober. You know, today's nothing's changed. I still sponsor a lot of people. I still do workshops. You know, I do a workshop twice a week, you know, with guys that I take through the book and guys that I sponsor. And I don't do that to try to impress you guys, but it's something that I have to do for me, you know what I mean? And it's been keeping me sober for the last 18 years, you know. If you're new in here today, I'm telling you right now, this could be the best day of your life. All you got to do is you could grab somebody right now. You can get a sponsor right now, and I guarantee you can get somebody to start working with you and take you through the steps tomorrow. Because if it wasn't for me going through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and taking another person through the steps in Alcoholics Anonymous, I wouldn't be here today. And I'll end it on this note. It's so easy to come into meetings and get all caught up in the meetings because we see our friends. It's beautiful. It's all love here. You know what I mean? But sometimes we got to remember there's new people in here. And, when I go to meetings, sometimes I try to focus on a person that's new because I can come and say, hey, Gabe, hey, what's going on? Hey, how you doing? And love everybody up. But it's some new guy just standing there just dying for somebody to work with him. And that's what's been keeping me sober in the last 4 years like nobody's business. The day that I really thought I was going to, the book talks about it's going to come down to you and a drink one day. And that day came when my ex-wife came up to me and said, I don't want to be married anymore. And I couldn't even tell you how that felt. All I know is I want to drink. And I remember the first time I wasn't with her, and my son at the time was like 3 months or 4 months, and it was Christmas Eve, and she picked him up, and it was the worst day of my life. You know, I didn't have nobody to hang out with on Christmas Eve. I moved out of this big old house, and I was living in this little apartment now, and I remember walking down Sunset, and nobody was out. I'd never been to Hollywood on Christmas Eve in my whole life, and I'm from here. And I was going down Sunset, and all y'all were gone. Everybody was gone. It looked like a bad Christmas movie. And no, it did. Even the bums that we see every day on Sunset, they had somewhere to go that day. Where did they go? You know what I mean? And it was just me. And I was going down Sunset, and I went to Turner's liquor store, and I bought a 40 ounce, and I cracked it open. As soon as I cracked it, I saw all y'all faces. You know what I mean? I saw everybody's faces, and I said, man, I talk too much crap in Alcoholics Anonymous. I talk too much about the book. They'll kill me if I go back. And I remember taking the smell, and it still smelled the same, and I was just walking down Sunset, and I was just pouring it out. And I poured it out, and I got through that. And you know what? I've been sober ever since, you know what I mean? My life is good today because I didn't drink or use. The one thing I know about Alcoholics Anonymous, that you can lose everything, but if you drink, you'll never have an opportunity to get it back. But if I stay sober, I always have an opportunity to get things back. I'll always have an opportunity to get things back. And, I always say, I may not be what I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be. You know what I mean? Because today's a good day. I never planned on staying sober this long. So if you're new in here today, like my man Anderson was saying earlier, it's just one day at a time to get those years, one day at a time. Don't look at people with all the time. And try to find somebody that's doing the work of Alcoholics Anonymous. Find somebody who's about it. You know what I mean? I always like when people say, go big or go home. That's the same thing in Alcoholics Anonymous. Go big or go home. Get a big book, work through it, or go home. Because you're just wasting time. I wasted a lot of time in Alcoholics Anonymous. So other than that, that's my time. Thank you guys for letting me share.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. And if that shows up, the gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.